To properly understand Yan Diomande with a ball at his feet, we have to completely move away from the idea of a traditional, slow-paced playmaker. In terms of pure attacking intent, he's effectively the Erling Haaland of wingers. That comparison isn't about the position he plays, but about how direct and forceful he is. When he receives the ball, his immediate goal is to aggressively push the defensive line backwards. If we look at the best modern wingers, they all have different ways of creating danger. Some relies on smart pauses and timing, while others uses deception and agility to manipulate fullbacks. Diomande relies far more on raw, overwhelming power. He doesn't have to overcomplicate 1v1 situations by trying to sell 5 different dummies. His style is built on explosive speed. The moment the defenders shift their body weight, his first touch takes him completely out of their reach. When you watch his footwork closely, every touch has a clear purpose, keeping his forward momentum rather than inviting pressure. Because his core strength is so elite, he easily absorbs contact in the full throws without losing his stride. If there's one constructive critique to make here, it's that he could become even more efficient by learning to use his arms to shield the ball against physical defenders rather than relying entirely on his pace to create separation. A natural question for a winger with this much speed is how he handles tight spaces or double teams. While he isn't the type of player to delicately thread a needle in a crowded midfield, he's incredibly hard to tackle. He consistently rides challenges, keeps his balance through contact, and actually accelerates as he breaks free from the crowd. This makes it a nightmare for defenders to time their tackles perfectly. The underlying metrics validate this aggressive style. When compared to his peers in the Bundesliga, he ranks first out of 103 wingers for driving the ball directly into the penalty box, and first overall for expected threats generated from those carries. He doesn't hold the ball to dictate the tempo of the matches. Diomande uses his dribbling as a blunt weapon to break defensive lines and force the opposition to collapse. When we look at his end product, that Erling Haaland of wingers comparison really begins to take shape. Diomande doesn't just operate with the pace of a wide attacker, his mindsets inside the final third reflect of that hunger of a traditional striker. Many fast wingers require an extra touch or a moment to slow down, adjust their body shape, and set up a shot after beating their fullbacks. Diomande is different. He has a highly efficient ability to trigger shots while in full stride. Because his core balance is so stable, he doesn't lose his footing or sacrifice shot power when swinging through the ball at top speed. He also shows excellent versatility in his ball striking. He's comfortable shooting off both feet, with each offering different types of threat. His right foot generates immense raw power, while strikes on his left foot tends to be more delicate and controlled. Regardless of what foot he uses, he always targets the hurtful zones, the extreme corners of the net that forces the goalkeepers into difficult saves. The underlying data firmly supports his efficiency. Compared to the other wingers in the Bundesliga, he ranks first for finishing and second for shot conversion, and most importantly, he ranks first in the league for goals minus XG, and in practical terms, this means he's consistently converting difficult, low probability chances from tight angles that the average player would typically miss. However, to become a truly competent goal scorer, there are areas of his game that requires a little bit of development. That is his off-the-ball movement inside the penalty area. Currently, he's lethal when driving the ball himself, but when the play is developing on the opposite flank, he's still learning to consistently trigger those late runs, blindside runs into the box. So instead of aggressively attacking the back post for a simple one-touch finish, there are moments where he misreads the situation and waits for the edge of the area for the ball to come to him. This slight hesitation is reflected in a number where he ranks notably low, 68 for penalty area receptions. This kind of rawness is entirely normal for a 19 years old. We saw a very similar learning curve with Vinicius Jr. and Lamine Yamal. For Diomande, learning to sniff out those simple finishes instead of always relying on spectacular efforts when he has the ball on his feet is necessary in the next step of his evolution. When we look at his link-up play, it's important to set realistic expectations. To be completely clear, Yan Diomande is not a fixed central orchestrator. If you're looking for a player in the mold of Michael Olise or Ousmane Dembele, someone who you can place in the half space and ask to consistently to take the tempo of the midfield with intricate passing, that is simply not Diomande's profile. Instead, his involvement in possession aligns much more to the Vinicius Jr. style. He'll certainly have moments where he drops deep, receives the ball, and executes clever touches to progress play. However, you would not rely on him to be the primary hub for combination plays, nor should you expect him to transition into a pure number 10 during his prime years. His primary value remains on the flanks, finding pockets of space to receive and immediately drive the ball forward. Where Diomande does excel, however, is in high-speed combination play. When Diomande is running with the ball and encounter a block of defenders, the crucial part of the sequence is that he never stops his run. He uses that pass as a rapid diversion, and as the defenders naturally shift their attention to the ball, Diomande uses his explosive acceleration to dart into the newly the open space behind them to receive a return pass, he effectively uses his teammates as a bounce board to bypass congested areas. While his attacking vision in this moment is commendable, his actual passing execution still requires some refinements. Because his entire game is built on intense physical power, he can occasionally struggle to take a sting out of the ball. His passes sometimes can carry too much weight, making them difficult for the teammate to control smoothly in tight areas. This rawness is reflected in the data where he ranks 67th out of 103 wingers for successfully progressing the ball into the final third via passing. Regardless of this, the ambition in his distribution is a positive sign. He's quite comfortable using both his right and left foot to attempt quick one-time passes or weak foot bounce passes under pressure. The accuracy is not always consistent, but the underlying idea is smart. At 19 years old, it's entirely fair to give him the grace to develop this side of his game, and as he matures, a structured system will help him calibrate that weight of his passes and improve his reliability in possession. As established, he's not a traditional methodical playmaker who will orchestrate a match through slow possession. Instead, his creativity is a direct byproduct of the defensive disorganization he causes. When he isolates a fullback and drives aggressively into the penalty area, his primary method of chance creation is a high volume of square passes across the face of the goal. Opposing defenses are usually forced to overcommit multiple players to stop his run, which naturally leaves his teammate unmarked in high-value central areas. The underlying data highlights exactly how effective this direct approach is. Despite his direct style, he ranks an impressive third out of 103 wingers in the Bundesliga for actual assists. He's also third for expected goals created and second for deep completions. He doesn't need to play intricate, slow-paced passes to consistently generate premium goal-scoring opportunity for his teammates. If we look beyond the raw numbers and focus on the tape, there's a clear evidence of much deeper playmaking issues waiting to be refined. He possesses the confidence to attempt highly technical deliveries to catch defenders off guard. This highlights a very similar development trajectory to wingers like Vinicius Jr., who gradually mastered these exact technical variations over time to become a complete attacker. For Diomande, the vision and the technical ambitions are undeniable present in his locker. The current limitation, however, is the consistency and the accuracy of these advanced deliveries. While he can often see the correct passing lanes, his execution can still be erratic. Refining his technique to ensure those line-breaking passes and trivelas consistently hit their target will be a crucial step in elevating his overall value as a multi-dimensional attacking threat. Diomande displays a commendable work rate when his team loses possession. He actively attempts to track runners and demonstrate a better understanding of defensive positioning and spatial awareness than the average 19-year-old attacker. The underlying metrics highlight his value in high-pressing systems, and he ranks an impressive third overall for high recoveries in the opponent's half. Given his profile, Diomande's primary responsibility is to serve as a rapid transitional outlet, attack spaces, and carry the primary goal threat. As a matter of fact, when compared to most wingers with a specific offensive traits and goal-scoring output, his off-the-ball contribution shows he's arguably over-delivering. What he provides defensively is more than sufficient for the role he plays. When you look at Diomande overall scout report and that massive radar data, it's easy to see why his potential feels almost limitless. Diomande can refine his aerial timing, lock down his link-up play, and master those late deceptive off-the-ball movements to snatch away easy tap-ins. His end game is terrifying. Any future role in the center of the pitch might entirely be focused more on penetrating runs, unsettling the centre-backs, and getting high-value shots. He isn't built to control the game, he's built to finish it. This brings us to one of the biggest possible transfer stories currently in the transfer market. Why are Liverpool reportedly ready to drop well over £100 million on a 19-year-old transitional winger? To understand the vision, you have to understand your manager. Andoni Iraola has an absolute obsession with this exact prototype of wide players. He doesn't want safe possession recycling wingers who pass the ball backward. He wants direct, unhinged attackers who treat every 1v1 as a crisis for the fullback. We already know how Iraola's system maximizes this specific profile. Look at what he did with Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo, turning him into a high-octane wide weapon. And what did Bournemouth do the moment Semenyo left? They went straight to the Brazilian league and bought Ryan, because Iraola's tactical framework is so perfectly turned for this exact trait. Ryan hit the ground running from day one, instantly becoming a dangerous regular name in the Premier League. Now think about that pipeline. If a young prospect like Ryan can look that dangerous on day one under Iraola, imagine what a far more ferocious, statistically elite beast like Diomande would look like in this this exact system at Anfield. Liverpool are facing a daunting reality of rebuilding their primary attack. They had a chance to pursue wide creative playmaker like Michael Olise, but they passed. Instead, they're hunting for pure offensive volume, and in the current market, Diomande is far more dangerous goal-scoring threat than someone even like a Bragi Bacola. Liverpool will not hesitate to break the bank here to get Iraola's system fully firing from day one and properly replace the transitional terror they used in having Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. They need the ultimate system fit. They need a Haaland of wingers.